Let's be real, calculating the pH of strong acids is easy because the hydrogen ion concentration would be the same as the concentration of the initial acid because it's just breaking apart in a 1-to-1 ratio. But hydrofluoric acid and most other acids are actually weak, so calculating the pH is a little bit more involved. Here's how you calculate the pH of weak acids, but first let's talk about what you need to know. You need to know how to find or where to find the Ka or pKa, which is the acid dissociation constant, which effectively tells you how weak is the acid, how much does it dissociate or not dissociate. You also need to know how to use ICE tables, which stands for initial, change, and equilibrium. And sometimes you need to know the quadratic equation, but we're going to do an example that does not require the quadratic equation, but you can definitely find videos, and I may make one where you can't assume a certain value is small and you have to use a quadratic equation, but most of the time, most professors won't make you use the quadratic equation because the key idea is how to calculate pH in realistic conditions where it isn't always necessary. So let's get started with this example. If the initial concentration of hydrofluoric acid is 0.10 molar, determine the pH of the solution. Sometimes the acid dissociation constant for a particular acid will vary a little bit because it's dependent on temperature or the precision of the instrument and whatever. We're going to roll with this value today. It's close enough to most other values and you'll usually see this one. So we got to remind ourselves, what is the acid dissociation equation in general? This is a generic acid dissociation equation where we have our acid dissociating into the hydrogen ion and the conjugate base. We're ignoring the water because it's not going to be included in our calculations. And we're going to fill in the generic acid dissociation equation, which looks like this for the acid dissociation constant. We have the brackets for the product, so it's going to be H plus, and then we have the A minus, and then in the denominator we'll have just HA. But since we're talking about hydrofluoric acid, we can replace these with actual letters for the actual substance that we have in our problem. So here is what the acid dissociation equation looks like when we're talking about hydrofluoric acid, but we still need to replace the Ka with the actual Ka for HF. This is where ICE tables come in because it's a common mistake for people to take this 0.10 molar and plug it in here, but this is for the case at equilibrium. So after, you can kind of think like after everything's like settled down and the reaction is equal frontward and backward, we're talking about equilibrium conditions. So we're not going to just use this value here. We actually need to set up an ICE table to see how things are going to change. And here's how those work. When you set up an ICE table, you put initial, change, and equilibrium here. You can also put them here, but I think it's just more common to put them down on the side here because these are going to be for something else. I'm going to save some space by just putting I, C, and E, which is why it's called an ICE table, sometimes called a rice table because the reaction can go up here too. Same thing, but I'm going to shorten this up a little bit. In that top row, we're going to put the species. So we have HF. We do not ever put water. So we have HF, we have the hydrogen ion, and we have the fluoride ion. Because these are concentrations, we're going to put square brackets around them. And let's think about what is going on initially. So when we first drop the acid into the water, what's going to happen is there's just that initial concentration of HF. So we have something here, but there will be nothing here and here because those haven't been created yet. They haven't started to form via dissociation. So the initial concentration of the hydrofluoric acid is 0.10. And there is no concentration of the hydrogen ion or the fluoride ion initially. But it will change. Some of the hydrogen fluorides will break apart. How much? We don't know exactly. However, we know the ratio. If we look at our equation, there's a big invisible 1 here for our coefficients. 1 mole of HF gives us 1 mole of H and 1 mole of F. So we can say that the change is going to be a molar relationship. We're going to lose 1 mole of HF because it's going to break apart. Not all of it, but some amount of it. And then as a result, every 1 mole of HF lost will gain 1 mole of H, and we will gain 1 mole of F. And then to get the equilibrium side, it's pretty easy. You just add them up. So for equilibrium, we're going to have 0.10 molar minus X. And here we're just going to have X and X. This is the key to understanding what's going to go in our equation. It's going to be this equilibrium stuff here. We need to solve for X because that'll help us determine the pH. So what we need to do is we need to take our acid dissociation equation specific for this problem, and we're going to replace it with what we see in the equilibrium line. Because the hydrogen ion concentration and the fluoride ion concentration are both just X, so here's what that looks like if you kind of do a 1-to-1 replacement. We have an X times an X, and X times an X is just X squared, so we can put X squared here. And then we have HF, which we do need to also replace. So we're going to get rid of all of that, and that's going to be, as we can see here in the bottom left of our table, the 0.10 minus X. So it's going to be 0.10 minus x. Here's where I said sometimes you'll need to use the quadratic equation because you have, if you were to solve this, you would have a quadratic setup and you would need to solve for x really specifically. However, if we assume that this x is really small, then we can ignore that x and not use a quadratic equation. So here's what happens if we ignore this x in the denominator because it's such a small value. We will not need to use the quadratic equation for this example. Now you totally could, but you would see that the change is pretty minimal. So here we have this step of just isolating x squared from the rest of it, and then we need to take the square root of both sides. At this point, the math is pretty simple. We're going to get roughly 8.1 times 10 to the negative 3 molar. But that is not your answer because remember, we just calculated x, which is equivalent to these. So we want to know what is the final concentration of the hydrogen ion, which we just determined. So we effectively found the hydrogen ion concentration at equilibrium, but we need to find the pH, and that's where you have to remember how to calculate pH from hydrogen ion concentration. So the negative log of that value, about 8.1 times 10 to the negative 3, is going to give us the pH, and that's going to be roughly about 2.09, which is below 7, so it is an acid as we would expect according to the pH scale, but that's how you use an ice table. Here's another example, this time with acetic acid. So acetic acid is a weak acid. It's found in vinegar and stuff, and it has an acid dissociation constant of about 1.8 times 10 to the negative 5. So we can fill out that equation for the acid dissociation of about 1.8 times 10 to the negative 5. That's going to be equal to, and this is also going to be a 1-to-1 ratio. If you want to write out the equation, I do recommend you get into the habit of that. So here's what the equation looks like. It is CH3COOH, and it's going to dissociate into CH3 COO minus, so that's the acetate ion. I'm not going to put AQ for space, and the hydrogen ion. So we're going to put that on the top bar of our ice table. So we have our Ka equation filled out here with the appropriate species, and we can start filling in our ice table and then making those appropriate replacements. Remember that the initial concentration is going to be given to you. That's going to be 0.50 in this case. These are all molar, so we can put our little brackets around these as well. These are going to be referring to molarity or concentration. And initially there is none of the products because it hasn't dissociated yet. You could think of it that way. The change will be minus x. These are all still going to be a 1-to-1 ratio. So you have 1, 1, and 1. So we have minus x, and plus x. It's important to note that whether you put the H in the second or the third column, it doesn't matter. Just be very careful as to which one you're using if it were to matter in different types of problems. But in this case, I just have it in the third column, so that's the one it's going to be in. And then for the equilibrium, we have to add up the initial and the change. So it's going to be 0.50 minus x, and x. And remember that this is the one that you put in your table up here. We have our substitutions. Let's clean it up. Now it's cleaned up. If you want to use the quadratic equation, go ahead, have fun, knock yourself out, but we can usually assume that this x in the denominator is small, and that cleans up our math a little bit. Just like we did before, we need to solve for x, so we're going to get x is equal to the square root of, and then it's going to be the product of this value and this value. So it's going to be the product of 1.8 times 10 to the negative 5, and the initial concentration where we ignore that itty-bitty change for it, and then solve for x. Now that we've solved for x, we really actually solved for the final hydrogen ion concentration, which means we need to take the negative log of that value in order to get our answer. So that's going to be the negative log of about 3.0 times 10 to the negative third, and we're going to roughly get a pH of about 2.52. So that is how you solve weak acid problems where you have to calculate pH using an ice table.